Hey everyone, happy Monday. For some, it's a mindful Monday. For others, it's a motivational Monday. But if you are here on the Other Side podcast, you know that it's time for the Other Side podcast. My name is Janelle Villiers. I am your host. And here on the Other Side podcast, we are all about writing, publishing, self-publishing specifically, learning about tips and tricks for how to write your books, as well as delving into some personal developments and essentially mental health topics as well. Those are my two big loves. So that is what we're going to be talking about here on the Other Side podcast. And so today I'm really excited because we have a topic that comes up quite often when I talk to people. Many times people are telling me, Janelle, I want to write a book, but I just don't have the time, right? Well, let me just tell you, I was super busy when I wrote my book too. So I get it. I get what it's like to have multiple jobs, multiple priorities. You come home after work and there's still a lot of things to do. And so it's like, where do you find the time? How do you make this work? So that is what we're going to be covering today. Can I write a book without quitting my job? Is it possible? So let's get into it. First of all, I just want to say a big shout out. If this is your first time coming on the show, go ahead and put a 1 in the comments and let me know. If you are a returnee, if this is not your first time on the Other Side podcast, please let me know. Put an R in the chat and let me know you are returning to the show. I just want to shout you out and say hello. Thank you for coming on. I'm really excited to share with you all the tips and tricks that I have learned over the years. Essentially, it took me 2 years to write my book. I Slept with a Man. Am I Still a Good Person? So that is available on all the different places. So you can go ahead and get that. And I'm really excited because I've learned so much in those 2 years. And so I am really, really excited, honored, blessed, all the things to be able to share with you what I've learned over time to help you get your story out there. So here's the thing, what I believe that a book can change a person's life. And because I believe that, I want to make sure that you can get your book out there to do just that, to change someone's life, to change someone's perspective, to make them feel seen and understood and heard. All of the amazing and beautiful things that we can do for each other and with each other as humans. So here are some of my tips for how you can do the thing. How can you write the book? How can you create the time without quitting your job? How can we do all of this? So let's first talk about why traditional writing advice fails for really busy people. I think a lot of people think like, oh, I'm just going to write every day. And let's just be honest. For really busy people, you're going to miss a day. You're just going to miss a day here or there. I do say consistency is key. So you want to be as consistent as possible, but just go into it knowing that you're going to miss a day. Just go into it knowing that. So that way you don't beat yourself up. Because see, what happens is that we tend to beat ourselves up for not doing the thing that we were going to say we're going to do. And then that stops us from moving forward. Because then you're like, oh, I didn't do it. I'm so awful. I'm never going to, and then it turns into, I'm never going to get this book done. Why even bother? See, I can't even be consistent. See, this just proves it. And then you just don't continue writing. And so I'm here to tell you, go into this knowing you're going to miss a day, maybe even 2 days or 3 days, right? But go into that knowing that and just say like, if I miss a day, it's okay. The very next day, I'm going to keep going because I'm determined. I have a priority to get this done. So even though you're busy writing every day, just know that that is probably going to be a myth for you. And you're just going to try and get it done in the margins. The other myth is that there's going to be some sort of perfect environment. I think we all have in our mind that we're going to like go to Costa Rica and be in like this environment in like our own little cabin. Like it's going to be beautiful. There's going to be essential oils going on and you're just going to write and write. You're just going to write all day. You're going to have your tea, right? You're just going to write and you're just going to write. No, right? Or I mean, if you're not a Costa Rica fan, right? If you're not, then maybe you're in the mountains somewhere or, if you're not rainforest, I think Costa Rica, maybe you like the beach. And so you think, oh, beach house somewhere. Yeah, no, that's not how that works for busy people. Like we just don't do that. That's a fallacy of this perfect environment. So if you keep waiting for these perfect conditions, again, you're never going to get this thing done. And I'm here to help you get it done because I want you to change someone's life. I want you to have the impact that I know that you're going to have. And so you just have to understand that you can't keep waiting for the perfect conditions. You just have to get it done in the margins, in the times when you can, right? And if that's only for 15 minutes or only for 30 minutes, that's it. That's all you've got. You're not going to be writing for hours on end. That's just not how most people write their books. I think the other myth that occurs is this idea that there's going to be some sort of like linear process or progress. Rather, there's going to be linear progress, and so you expect like just kind of keep ticking up. And when you have a busy life, this invariably is going to create very busy schedules. And so there are going to be times when you do have a little bit more downtime, and then other times when you just don't. And so the progress may kind of look like this. and then right? It's not going to be this, right? Just one straight line. There are several curves, as my friend Donnelly likes to say, right? A lot of curves in this progress. But you just have to keep going at it. And so I think a lot of times when it's unpredictable, when you're like, oh, I'm going to do, write for 10 days straight and do all the things because, my schedule is all of a sudden not going to be busy. And then you get discouraged because your schedule does get busy and then things happen. So we just kind of like revert right back up to what I said in the very beginning, which is there are going to be some days where you just miss. And that's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Just be like, you know what? I wasn't able to do it yesterday, but I'm going to do it today. I personally also, in my mind, just make it a priority. There's something when you make something a priority that you just say, I don't care what I need to do. I'm going to get it done. And I don't care what I'm going to do. I'm going to wash my face and brush my teeth today, right? Like it is a priority. You're going to get the thing done no matter what. So once you have that mindset and you make that switch, then a lot of these things become a lot easier. You're like, oh, I didn't get it done today, but it's okay. Tomorrow, I'm going to wake up 15 minutes earlier. I'm going to get it done. Or I'm going to stay up 15 minutes later just so I can like get some writing time in. Maybe for lunch, right? It's going to be a working lunch instead of like getting to sit down a little bit. And again, this is just for a season. I'm not telling you that you need to now wake up 15 or 20 minutes earlier every single day for the rest of your life, or stay up later for the rest of your life, or never have like a luxurious, nice lunch, right? I'm not saying it's forever. I'm just saying it's for a temporary season. So you just get the book written and done. All right. So how do you create a complete book with just 30 minutes a day? So I really love the micro session strategy. You just break writing up into very specific 30-minute tasks. You definitely are going to have a timer going. I loved using my phone as a timer to create the sense of like urgency and focus. Like, all right, in this 30 minutes, I'm going to focus on this particular scene or this particular topic, and I'm just going to write about this for the next 30 minutes. And just realize it's not going to be perfect. Like you're not going to write a very perfect draft in those 30 minutes. You're just writing, just write it. Like just write it out in the next 30 minutes and let go of the perfect outcome. It's just not going to be that way. That's what editing is for. Yes. The other thing to think about is number 2 is the power of pre-planning. So I love doing this where you create an outline before the writing session. So you know exactly what the things that you want to write about, whether it's chapters or items within a chapter. And then so you have this bullet point for tomorrow. You have a bullet point list for tomorrow about what you're going to write, right? So you basically, in your 30 minutes, you include 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes out of the 30 minutes. It's going to be just writing out an outline for what you're going to do tomorrow. So that way, when tomorrow you sit in front of your list, you're like, oh, I got it. 30 minutes, boom. I'm going to be writing about this particular thing that you've already outlined the previous day. And then the third thing is the compound effects. I think people, again, I say this all the time. My mentor has said this several times, but we underestimate what we can do over a long period of time, and we overestimate what we can do in a short period of time. So look, hear me when I say 30 minutes, you're like, that's not a lot of time. Like, can I really get it done in 30 minutes? Please understand that if you are consistent with your 30 minutes, right, and you do 30 minutes a day, that's 3.5 hours weekly. That's 15 hours a month. Okay. So if you did this just for 3 months, if you did 30 minutes a day, well, not even 3 months, let's say 30 days. If you did 30 minutes a day for 30 days, just 1 month, that's 15 hours. Like, Of writing. You think you're going to go into a mountain and like be in a cabin and write for 15 hours straight. Yeah, no, because that's not happening. But look what you could do in 30 days without quitting your job, without telling your children you can't talk to them, without telling your partner, so sorry, I have to go write, right? Like, it's just 30 minutes a day. You could do this. So I think it's really important, the consistency, and understand that the compound effect really takes place if you're consistent over time. Small amounts of time. Okay. So let's talk about the psychology of small block productivity. So there's a Zeigarnik effect advantage where what happens is an unfinished task remains active in our subconscious. And so if the shorter the time frame you give yourself for the task, the more likely you're to get it done. And then you don't have this thing in your subconscious like, oh, I didn't do this thing, I didn't do this thing, I didn't do this thing. So short sessions, keep your book processing between the writing. So your brain continues solving problems even when you're not writing. That's another cool thing, right? So the task isn't finished. You're still writing the book, so it's not complete. However, it's still kind of in your mind because you've blocked out these small segments of time for it. So you start to like think of voila, like different ideas as you're going on throughout your day, which is actually really cool. The second is the dopamine reward cycle. So small tasks create frequent completion rewards. So you get this like every time you win, every time you complete something, you get this like little dose of dopamine that's like, ooh, I did it. So regular wins build positive associations with writing. And so that's what you want. You want to start getting these dopamine hits for your writing, small things that you're like, I did that. I did 15 minutes. I did the 15 minutes, did it. Success momentum replaces procrastination patterns. So essentially, once you keep doing things and you keep having success and you're like, I'm winning, I'm doing the thing, it feels good. Doesn't it feel good to do the thing that you said that you were going to do so long ago? Yeah. So that you want to feel that and you want to keep getting that. So I love it in the small little chunks. Small tasks. And then the third thing is this urgency activator. So short time frames trigger focused attention. I only got to do this for, this is why I love the Pomodoro effect, whether it's writing or something. I use the Pomodoro effect technique, all the time. Pomodoro basically says you can focus on anything for 20 to 25 minutes straight. And you just focus on it. It's the only thing you do, cut out all the distractions. And then the minute that timer goes off, 25 minutes is done, you get up from what you're doing and you stop. You just stop doing what you're doing. You just walk around, do something else, and let the mind just like think about all the other things, right? Because you can actually focus really well for 20 to 25 minutes without distraction. And you can probably get a lot done during that time. So these short time frames trigger this focused attention. And then limited sessions eliminate the need to be perfect. So you don't have to worry about that. And then these time constraints force decision-making over overthinking. So you don't have time to be ruminating about, oh, well, what about you just like, no, I got to make a decision because I only got the 20, 25 minutes. So we just got to go, right? And so this urgency activator is really powerful, again, with these shorter periods of time. If you had all 24 hours in a day to write something in a cabin in the woods somewhere, you'd probably just sit there and think and just like totally overthink yourself out of writing maybe, right? Let's go turn on some Netflix. Guilty as charged. All right. So now let's talk about my system that I've been using to turn these tiny sessions into a finished book. So the session preparation framework includes creating a 5-minute pre-writing ritual that really helps get us in the mood, right? So you're going to have specific goals. Okay, this session, it's kind of like what you did when I talked about making goals the day before. So you end a session. It's like the 5-minute post and 5-minute pre. So the 5-minute post is you're going to bullet point what you're going to do the next session. So then the next session, you have this 5-minute pre-writing ritual or session where you just look at the specific goals and the tasks that you have in mind. Eliminate decision fatigue. That's really what this is all about. You want to take away the friction that is caused when you're having to constantly make decisions over and over again. Like choosing your clothes. What should I have for breakfast? What should I have for lunch? How should I do my hair? Right? Like it's a lot of like decisions that we make throughout the day. And so if you can eliminate that, you're like, oh, there's no decisions to make. I just gotta do these bullets and just, oh, okay, I'm just gonna talk about what's here in the bullets or in the outline. or the goal that I set for myself yesterday, I'm just going to focus on that. There's no decision to make. You just get it done. Huge. The other thing is the progress tracking method. So you can use, I love like a visual tracker. I'm super visual, to be quite honest. So if you have something set up where you can actually see your progress accumulate over time, maybe you have like color coded sections in your calendar to monitor the overall book development, or you create like a milestone reward system. So at 25% done, you're going to give yourself this. At 50% done, you're going to go do that. At 75% done, at 100% done, like give yourself these little mini stone rewards for getting past certain milestones. All of this helps to track your progress, and so helps you to keep going. These are the things that are going to help you stay motivated. And then finally, the transition point strategy. So each session you can end by starting with the next, right? So we talked about this. This is just transitions. 5 minutes after. So you're going to spend bullet pointing, creating an outline, creating a goal list for what you're going to do in the next session. And then leave yourself breadcrumbs for easy reentry. So easy reentry into the writing process. Again, that outline that you have, the goals that you're making at the end of the session are going to be able to do that, essentially breadcrumb you back into the writing process very easily. And then write specific notes for your future self about what comes next, right? This, again, could be for the small book moments of time that you're writing, whether it's 30 minutes or so, or it could be future self, the book is done. What note do you want to tell to your future self that has the book written? What are you going to say to yourself? Congratulations, you got it done. Things were really hard. We weren't sure if you were going to do it. Like right now we're at the 50% mark and it's seemingly like crazy. And so I'm so proud of you. You've done it. You've got to the 100% mark. And now it's time to go talk to those editors, right? So that way you can get the book to the next level, right? So whatever that looks like, but it's super cool because then when you get to the milestone or you get to that place and you're reading that thing from your past self about where you are now, you're like, I remember when I wrote this letter to my current self and what I was thinking and what I was feeling, and oh my gosh, I did it. It's a really, really cool thing to do. So highly recommend it. So let's do a recap. I've been talking about a lot of things. Look, if this has been valuable for you, please, please, please go ahead and put a V in the chat. I want to know that this is helpful. If you feel like you can use any of these tips, go ahead and tell me which one of these you're going to actually implement. I would love to know and hear what things you're going to implement. So first we talked about why traditional writing advice fails for busy people. So the writing every day myth, you're not. Just go in knowing you're not going to write every day. You're not going to have a perfect environment, and there's not going to be linear progress. Those are the 3 myths that you need to just exnate out of your mindset from right now. So the 3 different ways to create a complete book with just 30 minutes a day. So breaking them into 30-minute sessions, having a timer, do the pre-planning. So at the end of your session, have a goal for what you're going to do in the next section. And remember that these 30 minutes a day are going to result in something like 15 hours in a month if you just stay consistent. So stay consistent. And then we talked about the psychology of the small block productivity. Why does doing this in 30-minute chunks work? One, it's because of the Zeigarnik effects that we talked about. So these short sessions keep your book in process. So that way you can start coming up with solutions to certain problems that you're having throughout the day, throughout your writing time. You're going to get a dopamine reward every single time you complete the 30 minutes. You're like, I did it, right? So it's going to feel like a win every single time. And those 30 minutes of time are going to make you really, really laser focus on what you got to do. That way there's no time for procrastination because you're thinking about things and overthinking and all that. So now let's talk about the 3 ways that I used my system for creating a finished book. And number 1, it's the session preparation framework. So that's where you begin the session, looking at your goals, looking at your guide, looking at your outline to figure out what you're going to write. And then after each session, you're going to end it with what you're going to do next time. So what are your goals for the next session? That's how you're going to begin and end it. So that is also the session preparation framework, as well as the transition point, and then a progress tracker. So using some sort of visual tracking system so you can see the accumulation of your progress, whether that's color quoting some parts of your calendar or certain parts of your outline, or if it's creating like a milestone rewards, again, at 25, 50, 75, 100% completed, all of those things. All of that's going to help you get it done. Certainly help me get it done. All right, guys, that is my time. If this, again, has been valuable for you, please put a V in the comments. Let me know. And if it has, don't forget, the simplest thing that you can do, doesn't cost you anything, is to subscribe. Subscribing actually lets YouTube know that what we're sharing here is actually valuable, is helpful for the algorithm. Doesn't cost you anything. Don't forget to like, click the notification bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes where I'm giving more tips, where I'm interviewing other authors, other coaches, all the things. I want to make sure that you don't miss a thing. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.